Okay, we're now live. This is awesome. So, welcome everybody to our Wednesday, May 20th talk with Chef Sonia El-Nawal, who was recently named one of the five up and coming chefs to watch in Las Vegas, which is quite a feat. Because, as you probably all well know, when Las Vegas has its restaurants open, the food is extraordinary, and we have major, major chefs here in Las Vegas. So, congratulations to Sonia for sure. Sonia is also
Yes.
the founder and the owner of Rooster Boy Cafe, um, Rooster Boy granola, which if you have not tried it, you need to. It's pretty awesome. And also something called Bodega Bagel. And that's where we're going to start because Sonia was sharing with me this really beautiful story about how Bodega Bagel came about and why she started baking bagels. So Sonia, let me introduce you and share with us why you started baking bagels. Why did you do that?
Hi, Abby. Thanks for having me, first and foremost. Um, well, I started making bagels in Brussels because I really missed having a diner. That's how the whole thing started. It was a coffee shop, and being someone that grew up in New York City, I really loved diners and coffee shops. And so I said, I was in Brussels and I noticed that everybody would make everything American ever so precious. And I was like, no, 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 we need a diner. So I made a diner and I started making bagels, and I really missed eating bagels. And that's how I started making bagels 30 years ago. And my place was called the Spoonful Diner. It was an amazing little restaurant. I had quite the scene and quite a group of people that were coming in. I had lots of artists, dancers, the conductor to the orchestra, really cool, just a great group of people that were my clients. I'm very lucky in every place I've lived. I've always had great clients, a great conglomeration of different parts of the world. And, I'm very fortunate. So that's how Spoonful Diner happened. And then one day I had a client and an expat, and I said, I really wish my friends knew what I was up to these days. And we ended up having an article in the New York Times in the style section, and the article was called "The Bagel Lands in Belgium."
Oh, that's
And then the following week, it showed up in the San Francisco Chronicle, which was really funny. So I'm very fortunate. I've always got to express myself through food and always got to do the things I really love and want to do. So I can't ask for more than that.
so that kind of leads us into the topic for today, which is really about it's really about ancestors and it's really about how grandma cooked and how ma cooked and the foods that we were brought up on. And I think,
Yep.
especially now in this time period, we're all kind of trying to get back to our roots. We're trying to get a sense of grounding. And and to do that through food is really, really interesting. So perhaps we ask the questions, what are the spices that we seem to have in the kitchen that we use all of the time? Are they the Mediterranean, or are they the Indian or Asian or American? And what would that be, and how does that look? And can you kind of maybe expound a little bit on not only eating to our roots in a sense, but also the importance of that and what that does for us as far as our psyche, aside from anything else.
Yeah, I really think for me, especially, well, I'm Middle Eastern. My mother's Armenian, born in Cairo, and my father was Libyan and Lebanese, and I grew up in Lebanon. So, growing up in the Mediterranean, I mean, Beirut is a food haven, like we have the most delicious tomatoes, the best olives, cucumber just tastes so different, lamb tastes so different. Everything we've have in the Middle East, or especially the Mediterranean regions. And obviously, the Mediterranean is every country that's in North Africa, on the Bay, and then in the Southern European. No, so you really get to everything that grows there just tastes so different. For me, I love all those Mediterranean flavors. I love all the Mediterranean smells, like the aroma of when you grill a tomato, or even if it's not food related, the aroma of jasmine, the aroma of gardenia, the aroma of fresh rosemary and thyme that smells in the air, orange blossom, you know. So these are all the smells that take us back. And in our brain, we have that sensory. So I'll smell something and it'll remind me of something that my grandmother cooked or my mother cooked. And I think that it's really important to let yourself feel those things and actually act on them and eat things that you miss that you grew up in. I mean, my mom always asks, "Can you make grape leaves? Can you make, you know, the meatballs your grandma used to make?" And I like eating things that my grandmother made and that I miss, or my aunt Sonia makes things that I really want to make. So, and my mother Maro made delicious foods. So Armenians are really good cooks. We love to eat. And so are most Middle Eastern people love to eat and cook. And that is the way we communicate. We communicate with what are we going to cook for you because we love you, we want you to eat. And that could also translate to a Jewish grandmother that says, I want you to have something to eat, and you know, I'm going to make you your matzo ball soup or whatever's, you know, the favorite, right? um, I really, for me, that is my communication always, and it's always been my sharing with everyone that comes to the restaurant. I want to make sure you eat something you love. I cook some Mexican things that I adore because I lived in Mexico City, and because to me that part of my life was so special. Living in Polanco, and I worked in Condesa DF, and I opened a hotel called Condesa, and it was beautiful, and it was a great moment in my life where I learned so much about Mexican food. And when I make some Mexican dishes, I really reconnect to that moment that I'm in the market, or that I'm smelling, you know, the salsas and the smells. And I was really fortunate that I was taken to all these gorgeous places like Oaxaca, Ensenada, Puebla, you know. So food is really international, and eating is really international, and all of us should be, you know, able to feel, you know, if I was coming from a Vietnamese family, I'd probably say, "Oh my God, I love the pho that my grandmother made me, or my mother. I need to make broth." You know, I don't pretend to know much about Asian cuisine, but I know that we really connect with food, no matter who you are, where you come from, vegan, vegetarian, not anything. It's always when you eat something that tastes great, it brings so much joy to your soul.
So with these programs that are out there, and maybe they're called apps, I don't know, ancestry.com, et cetera, and everybody, I have a dear friend who's very much into this, and she's actually had lunch and dinners with cousins that she didn't even know she had,
Wow,
and they've shared
interesting.
these incredible meals together. So I'm thinking, if you're sort of listening to this program and you're saying, "Huh, I wonder what my roots really are," and then you sort of think, okay, well, maybe my roots are Italian, and I wonder what the Italian food was. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I, for some reason, did not have a grandmother, and my mother maybe was not necessarily into cooking. But I want to be able to explore that, and I want to be able to see what that is. Where would you even begin? I mean, how do you even begin
Well,
to think in terms of different spices for different lands, in a sense?
you know, here's a great example. Lentils, they translate, or beans, translate across the world in every region. And
Right.
even within each region, country, you have the South, the North, and all these fantastic so flavors that range from the north to the south. So if I was eating beans in the north of Italy, would taste very different if I had them in the south of Italy. Same, you know, and the funny thing is, it's how everything grew, and how it's you know, what your availability is, right? um,
So that
Lentils from India to the Middle East, very different manners of making lentils, but still
right,
the same nutritional value.
right. So not to put you terribly on the spot, but if you were just to think in terms of the differences of, let's just say, northern Italy to southern Italy, what would be the different spices that you might be geared toward?
Well, I mean, you think like what's growing more in the south? Lots of tomatoes, garlic, the basil. Maybe in the north, it's more like with truffle. That's what comes to mind when I think of the
Right,
north.
right,
The cheeses. I mean, it's also what's cold weather. If
precisely.
you have, if you're in Milan, you're definitely going to have a nice risotto. If you're in Florence, I mean, all just I can't specifically say hit it, but I know that you eat how the geography is in the country.
Exactly. All right. So the more southern you go, um, um, possibly the spicier. Would that be
That could be very possible. Yes,
okay?
chilies are more in the south, and that's true, definitely.
So there's something about a piece of chocolate. We take that piece of chocolate and we put it in our mouth, and it's first of all it's one of the
Is it milk or dark?
yeah, dark. Definitely dark. It is definitely in Ayurveda. It's considered the sweet taste, and the sweet taste, of course, is associated with your mother because that was your first taste. So it's a very embracing taste, and maybe you can speak to a little bit to why the foods from our ancestry, why those foods sort of give us that same feeling of groundedness and same feeling of being embraced. um, they're the foods that we
Ah,
tend to go to when we really want to feel nurtured.
I mean, the nurturing of a mother is
Yeah,
priceless, right? And um, what your mother gives to you is something that is unforgettable at whatever age you are. It doesn't matter. Um, for me, again, it comes back to how my mother cooked when I was little, how she took care of me, and that aspect that the food was really the show. And so, if we are eating something that is very relative to of our own background, it feels really good. Like I know that I'm going to use a very recent example. In March, when we started with the pandemic and we closed um, the store, we immediately shifted to preparing foods. We did a lot of comfort food that related to our clientele in the neighborhood, whether it was matzo ball soup, whether it was meatloaf, whether it was a roast brisket, a simple roast chicken, um, just plain pasta with butter and cheese, sauteed vegetables. I did dal. So I kind of covered basis of things that I felt that, everybody could relate to, right? Everybody wants a roast chicken, whether you do it with rosemary and thyme, or whether you do it with a little bit of cumin, lemon, garlic, oregano, like a Greek. So all these relative flavors are really important. And I felt like I noticed that people were really wanting to eat very simple things that were very uh, fulfilling.
that's interesting. That's interesting. I read a quote
I
from
don't know if that's off, sorry, not that it's off the ancestral eating, but like, yes, this is very comforting. Ancestral eating is comforting. Um,
I think
you
it gives us that sense of we, that sense of community, and that sense
mhm.
of family. Even if the family is not around, we suddenly feel we can feel that family again.
Yeah. And we
It's
want to maintain the traditions
right.
that were taught to us from our mothers and grandmothers. And, I have friends that are like, oh, my grandmother taught me how to make these dumplings and now I make them. So, this is, it's passed on.
Right, right, right. And also the actual way that we eat, the actual what one might call our table manners, how they differ from land to land is absolutely
Yes.
amazing. I mean, I remember even just that simple move from New York City to London, and I would be I was at 10 years old, and that's an age where mm,
You're
we
impressionable.
yeah, we pick on each other a lot at the age of 10. So, but I would cut, I was eating meat at the time. I don't anymore, but I was eating meat at the time, and I would cut my meat, and then I
And
would
then
put
you moved your hand to the
it
other side.
exactly,
That's
and,
very
and
American.
my
And
British friends looked at
nobody does that.
me, yeah, what are you doing? And I sort of, oh, so I learned how to eat, as they
With
do.
the fork in your left and the
Yeah,
knife in your right,
yeah.
and you do
And
that.
chopsticks to using your fingers, and even which hand you eat with. There's a culture that says no to the left hand, and there's a culture that says no to the right hand. I mean, it's fascinating, really, and
Hmm.
understanding where these customs came from. Yeah, but your quote that I loved so much was that you want to cook happy food, and I think that's. And in fact, I almost would like to say that your clients really aren't clients; they're guests, because
They
when you
are
go to
guests.
your cafe,
Guests
you
in
really feel as a
our
guest.
little bubble of, you know, they're guests, and they all have delights and desires. And I get a lot of people that say, "Can you make me this? Will you make me that? Please, can you?" I mean, I have a client. Ira asked for knishes. Now I make knishes. Maybe not every day, but
Right,
I don't like to be attached to making the same thing every day. There's a
right,
few basics we always do, but I think the joy for us too is to be able to express. It's like, oh, we have, like today we had mustard greens and peppers and mozzarella. I made quiche with that. That's what we'll have tomorrow. It's an expression, right? You don't want to always do the
right.
same thing.
So my kitchen has a lot of cumin, a lot of coriander, a ton of turmeric,
Beautiful spices.
mustard
A
seeds.
ton of turmeric. Okay,
Turmeric,
Ayurvedic.
yeah, mustard seeds. I'm trying to think what else I
I
have.
love mustard seeds. They feel really good when you eat them.
Right, right. And I
Like they
just
feel good when you're after, or cardamom in your, like if I think now I'm gonna make dal after this conversation. Tomorrow we're not gonna make yellow lentil soup. We're gonna make dal. We're gonna switch it up.
and what for the people that are listening, what would be the difference between the lentil soup and the dal? How would you make that? Why would that be different?
Well, the dal would have, I would fry, not fry, but saute garlic and onion and cumin and mustard seeds and, um, oh my God, I said it 2 seconds ago.
Cumin.
Um, no, the beautiful green pod. Uh, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just blanked out on that. Cilantro, and then also the the not cumin, not coriander, not, oh my gosh, it'll come.
Fenugreek?
Huh?
No. Fenugreek? No.
No, not fenugreek.
Fennel.
It'll come back. It's okay.
It'll
I
come back
had
to
it
you.
2 seconds
Right.
ago. I said it even.
We've
That's
gone
life.
through.
I get a cloud that's passing through. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway,
I,
so you saute these things and then you put them into your yellow lentils that have been cooking, and it elevates the flavor, and you eat it like a, not a soup, but it's a thicker consistency, and it's delicious. You have it with rice and then some vegetables, and fabulous. I love
and
dal. I love dal with a poached egg on top.
ooh.
Yum. I'm
I,
hungry.
Ayurveda would
Approve.
no, they would not approve
They would not approve because of the egg. Oops.
because of the egg. Yeah, that would be a food combination
Cardamom
that
seed.
would be tricky for the post digestive system.
Sorry. Cardamom.
No,
Okay,
that's
no
good.
egg tomorrow. Cardamom
That's
seeds. I remembered.
well, dal is Dal is my actual go-to. It's not at all from my ancestry whatsoever. But I find it to be very, very comforting. So I'm thinking that somewhere in Scotland and somewhere in England, and possibly through the influence of the British and Indian
Indian.
years, very possibly that's where that
Absolutely.
desire for khichdi, which we call khichdi in Ayurveda, the rice and the dal, comes from. But to me, it's a go-to food, very easy to
Yeah.
make, but also delicious and so nutritious. So
And it's
if we were
perfect.
to take that concept of rice and beans, what would be the difference between, let's say, a French preparation to a rice and bean to an Italian, let's say Northern
Well, let's
Italian?
leave Europe. Let's leave Europe for
Europe. Let's go somewhere.
travel.
Where
Travel
should we
somewhere
go?
else. So the rice and beans, you can have them in the Middle East for sure. It could be from basmati rice, it could be a pilaf, it could be beans like the Greeks made plaki, which is the beans with the carrots and the dill, which is very tasty. You can have beans done with Swiss chard, which is very much like Armenians make dishes like that. And then you can, when if you went, of course, India, you've got that. You understand with the Ayurvedic, with the dal and the or other beans that you could make. I mean, I love black eyed peas. I grew up eating black eyed peas. In America, they eat them in the South, which is very funny. Um, and then we have, if I was having them in Mexico, there's so many different preparations of beans, refried beans, beans with epazote, white beans, pinto beans. You know, if you think of Cubans are having black beans and rice. If you think of Puerto Rico, they're eating beans in so many different preparations. And then we go to Europe. I mean, in France, they're gonna have flageolet beans, which are amazing. Um, I don't really know how much rice the French really eat. I don't think that's like in their psyche of food, but they do eat beans in different presentations, right? And then in Italy, it's more beans in a salad, beans in a soup, pasta fagioli, you know, so many different items. So, I mean, beans are really life. Like, there's so many things you can do with beans, and they're poor man food, but they're also fantastic food, right? So, if whether you're making a cassoulet and then you put the beautiful duck fat and all that, which is definitely not Ayurvedic, however, very French. So,
So
just depends on you.
are there some do's and do's and don'ts that you'd like to share? Since we're talking about beans, for somebody who's a little bit intimidated by a bag of dry beans, they can be a dookie, they can be black, and I'll let you choose what kind of bean they are. But
I
are there
mean,
some do's and don'ts in the preparation of beans that you would really want to pass on to people through your wisdom?
oh, all beans need to be soaked unless you're cooking fresh beans. Fresh beans are fabulous. I buy sometimes when Carrie Clasby has fantastic beans. I'm very happy to buy cranberry beans from her and cook them and then throw them in a soup of vegetables or a stew, and it's just so fantastic. The, I think beans get a bad rap because like keto is like no, I don't eat beans, and but there's such a I I don't know. I just feel like your body really tells you what you want to have, right? Your body and whatever your choices are, great. I just think that I feel like we can tell what we want to eat. It makes us happy. Um, so back to the beans. So when you're cooking beans, you just soak them and season them well and cook them slowly. Don't rush it; it'll be terrible. You can use a pressure cooker, but it depends how you want them. Whether you want them soft or in a salad. I love a cannellini bean salad. Like in the summer, I love eating cold beans. And then I love refried black beans, and then which reminds me of Mexico City, and I love them with avocado on top, a little cotija and onion and cilantro, or just a little cotija cheese and nothing else. I love them on a tostada. I mean, food is like endless. Your options are endless. It Just depends how much commitment you want or what you feel like doing. Or you can come to the store and get a lot of food.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you're fortunate enough to live in Las Vegas and visit visit Sonia's Rooster Boy Cafe, it really is. It's a treat. And she was really one of the first to jump on this whole thing when COVID began. Of immediately, I mean, she just didn't miss a beat, figuring out how to be able to still provide food for those people that wanted it, but still within the
Guidelines.
guidelines is the word I'm looking for, that have been handed down to all of us. So thank you for jumping on that so quickly. I know you saved the day in this household for sure.
It was
So,
fun. It was fun to be able to shift gears when you're driving a car, and whether you're on a windy road or if you're on a highway or however it was, uphill or downhill. I'm very grateful. I have a great staff. They're my team. They're like my family. I mean, Carly and Olivia and I were the three together, and we just kind of went with it, and it was really fun. It
yeah,
was really, really fun because um, we were each other's safety net, right? That's all. Those are the people I saw when that happened. I really didn't. And Claudia from Desert Bloom Eco Farm. She has
so
an
you said
amazing
something
product.
recently about your body knows what it really wants to eat, and I think that's such an important point when we think about dinner, especially right now, because many of us have family home 24/7 and we're not used to it. So it's a little bit difficult. And we're kind of maybe getting into the kitchen thinking, oh my goodness, I have to prepare another meal. And that translates into the food. It really does. So really taking that time to just pause, just take the time and just go, what is my body really asking for right now? And maybe you make a game of it with your family, right? You get everybody to write down, all right, just take 5 minutes,
If you're
close
going to
your
do
eyes.
that, they have to help you.
Oh yeah, totally. At least wash the dishes, if nothing else.
It's too much. It's like, wait, everybody's going to say something else that their body wants?
Well, I know, but then you could pick. You say, okay, this time we'll draw it from the hat,
Right.
and that's
Okay.
what we'll cook for the evening. But you can make some fun with all of this right now, and still really satisfy the body. So I really want to thank you so much for being on here. Are there any final words of wisdom that you would like to share with us about food and your adventure and your journey?
Enjoy the process. It's not that big a deal. It's not so daunting. It's something that you're going to make, that you're going to enjoy, that you're going to eat, that you're going to just be happy with it. Don't stress when you're cooking because it's not going to be good. You know, make it relative. It's not like we're asking you to do open heart surgery. It's food. You're going to eat it at the end. You're going to enjoy it. It has to be fun. It has to be delicious. The simpler, the better. Don't overcomplicate. 3 ingredients in a dish. It's enough. Don't have to make it complicated.
That's
Right?
awesome.
Well, at least for me, I don't want to complicate.
Yeah, no, I think we all are at the point where simplicity is our middle name right now. So thank you. That's a really good reminder. And yeah, I remember when I first made ghee, I was nervous. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to burn the butter and it's going to turn out terrible and yada, yada, yada. And somebody just said, oh, but just stand by the pot and listen to it because it's so sweet. The butter is just burbling away and it's talking to you.
And it
And she was
smells so
Indian,
good.
Indian, and she was with her accent, and it was just, there was just a joy that she presented with cooking ghee, and I was like, oh, okay, I can do this, you know. So thank you for saying that to really, because cooking does not have to be daunting. It can be really beautiful and really fun. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for sharing. I have put
Thank
up here
you. I
in chat.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I've put up here in chat the Rooster Boy Cafe. So if you're in Las Vegas, please come by because it really is gorgeous. It's right
And
in Desert
have
Shores, so right by the lake, and it's just lovely. And
thank
Sonia also has
And then there's roosterboygranola.com.
the right, roosterboygranola.com. I put up the granola, but didn't do the
Oh,
.com there.
thank you.
And her granola is amazing, and she ships all over the country. So there's no excuse. And you can't say, I don't live in Las Vegas. You just get on the website and do it. And then Bodega Bagels, if you're in town and you're
It's
into that, even if you're vegan, there's some incredible vegan cream cheeses out there right now.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of making my own vegan cream
Oh,
cheese.
good,
We've been talking
good.
about it.
All right.
Yeah, with cashew base. So
Excellent. Yay. So
wonderful.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Abby.
This is awesome. And we'll see everybody next week. Anjali Deva will be with us, and she's going to kind of wrap up this whole month of discussion of food, and give us some sage advice. Um, More from the perspective of Ayurveda and understanding the six tastes and understanding the different spices that we can use for different situations that might be presenting themselves to us. So thank you again. Have an awesome
Thank
weekend,
you.
everybody. Stay safe, stay well, stay wise, and we'll see
Cook and
you
be
next week.
civilized.